Hello and welcome. Today's practice is going to be an extra gentle, well-rounded practice. So we're not going to have a particular focus on a body part like we've done on some of the other videos. We're just going to hit a little bit of everything, but keep it very gentle, very low key. Even having said that, if there's something that doesn't feel appropriate for you, please feel free to modify, change it up as you need. Props will be pretty basic. If you do have some blocks, they would be helpful. Although if you have something else that could substitute as a block, that would be fine too. Nice big thick book. We're mostly going to be putting it under our sacrum for a supported bridge later. A blanket if you have a hard surface. We will be on our knees a little bit, so if you feel like you might need some cushioning under your knees or for your shavasana, whatever you might like to have to keep yourself comfortable. So we're going to start on our bellies in just a moment in crocodile posture. And I really love to start a nice gentle practice this way as it is very grounding, calming for the nervous system to be belly down. So go ahead and join me as you're ready. No props for this particular pose, but if you can, we're going to stack up forearm on top of forearm so that your hand and elbows kind of line up, and then we'll walk the arms out just enough that we can rest the forehead here. And then you can go ahead and really just drop into this position, relax into your body. Let the ground support you and come to your breath. So initially in this posture, we might even find it a little hard to breathe. And if that's the case, you could maybe bring yourself up a little bit higher, maybe put your forehead on a block if you need to, maybe walk the arms in a little bit so your chest is higher. So you do have some options. Otherwise, just go ahead and start to rest in and see if you can start to smooth out the breath. So initially, we might notice the breath is a little more inconsistent. Choppiness, irregularity, stickiness. So see as you rest here, the more deeply you rest and relax, the smoother that breath can become. So go ahead and continue here a few more rounds. I'm bringing to mind the word peace as we practice today. So I'm going to be reading a little bit, but I want you to just stay in that crocodile posture a little longer, focusing, if you can, again and again, back to your breathing. Slowing the breath down, smoothing the breath out, and anchoring to peace. When we anchor to something meaningful, and in this case, we're going to anchor to peace, the meaningless falls away. So we have a lot going on in our minds right now in our current situation. So when we can anchor to peace, we can let some of that meaningless stuff fall away and just be really present in this practice. The time for practicing peace is now. Peace is the doorway to lasting happiness and bliss. So whatever we anchor to, we'll find more of that in our lives. So if our current default reactivity is anger, we're going to experience more anger. It is the same with practicing peace. If we practice peace, we will experience more peace. External peace is often an illusion, not real, based on something temporary and conditional For example, I will feel at peace when the pandemic is over. However, internal peace is lasting, and it is the only real peace we have. Not based on conditions, not based on what is happening in our lives, but just being with what is and being at peace with that. So right now we are safe, we are calm, we are in this space for our practice. We can let the meaningless fall away and anchor to peace. Last 3 breaths here. Stay nice and relaxed in your lower body. Letting that breath move more into your back body here. So the front of our body is a bit compressed. And we can take that breath into some of the lesser utilized areas of our breathing space. Right after that 3rd breath, we're going to go ahead and start to come up, and we're just going to simply prop up into Sphinx posture, getting a little bit of lift in the chest, a little bit of extension in the spine. We're going to keep it active today as opposed to our yin version. So we're going to press down into our arms, into our palms, particularly the inner wrist, sealing it into the floor and letting the chest lift, and then gently pressing into your arms, your palms, and pulling them towards you. So pull with your arms, which will help you lengthen into the front of your spine. Maybe a little stretch into the abdomen, keeping those shoulders relaxed and not hunched up by our ears. Let's hold it here, another breath. And then we'll go ahead and release again. And give the hips just a little wiggle. That is a gentle back bend, but sometimes we can feel compression in our lower back. Okay, from here we're going to press up into tabletop pose, all 4s. So here's where you might wish to have that blanket underneath your knees. If you feel any tenderness in the knees, or if your surface is hard, why not use that blanket to make it more comfortable for yourself? Okay. So lining up, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, a comfortable spread to your fingers. Line up your wrist creases with the top of your mat. Let's just take a few breaths in neutral. So we're going to press into the floor, make sure we feel like our arms are tall and supporting us. And we're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, lift your abdomen away from the floor. Squeeze the belly up. And then as you inhale, relax the belly a little bit, but see if you can keep a small amount of tone there so we don't just let the belly collapse and let the back overly arch. Now we add that into movement. So we take an inhale. Exhale, start to lift the abdominals, lift navel towards spine as you round, pressing into the floor, tall on the arms, and then reverse. Just like we did in our Sphinx pose, we're going to lift the chest, shoulder blades are drawing down, and then exhale, round. Let's try that a few more rounds. So we're alternating between cat-cow. When we're inhaling, there's an arch to the spine, the shoulder blades draw down and towards each other. And as you exhale, the shoulders protract and spread apart. The tailbone really drops and the abdomen lifts, creating a little bit of stimulation in our core area. Let's do 2 more. Keeping a nice slow pace here. Is going to be a little more grounding and calming. 1 more. back to neutral table. Let's come to a brief child's pose to rest our arms. So I'm going to take the hips back toward the heels. My knees are a little separated. And the arms could either walk forward or stack under your hands. You could do fists, even a block. And breathe here. Let your body feel like it's descending downward into the earth, anchoring once again to that feeling of peace. Let's come back up into our tabletop pose, and this time we're going to try a little balance work. So balancing tabletop pose, I'm going to start first by practicing that engagement of our core muscles. So we're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, lift the abdominal walls away from the floor. Think about hollowing the pit of your abdomen and narrowing these 2 points here below the hip points here. Draw them towards each other, giving support to your low belly. And then do that again. Inhale, relax it a bit. Exhale, draw in. Now keep it drawing in. Take your right leg straight back. Breathe again. Inhale. Exhale, draw it in, and now take your left hand forwards. Keep your fingertips on the floor for a moment. We're rooting into the supporting hand. Inhale, exhale, engage your core, and then lift your right leg to about the height of your hip. So not so high, not so low. So you can keep it right in line and lift from your glutes, so we're engaging the back of the leg. Inhale here, exhale, tone your abdomen, and possibly lift that opposite arm up. Now, if that's too much, keep those fingertips on the floor. You're still working your core. You're still working on balance here. And then make your leg and your arm that are off the ground solid. Firm the musculature. And now release. And let your hips rock a little bit side to side. If your arms need a rest, you can always come back to a brief child's pose. You can also stay in your table. And then let's try the other side. So starting back in that neutral tabletop pose, try not to dip down with your belly. Keep the core toned on those exhales in particular. And then keeping the belly tone, step the left leg back. Now we'll pause there. We're drawing toward the middle with our inner thighs. Taking an inhale. Exhale, tone your abdomen and then reach that opposite arm forward. Right hand forward. Stay on your fingertops. Inhale here. Exhale, lift the left leg to about the height of your hip without rotating your pelvis. So keep your hip points facing the floor as best you can. Inhale here. Exhale, tone the abdomen. Maybe lift that opposite arm. And then make those arms in like solid, firm reach. And then release. Once again, let's come back into a child's pose. Knees wide, arms in any position that works for you. Now beginning to add on some movement and some flow here. We're going to come back up into table. This is going to be your inhale. As you exhale, we're going to bring a soft bend into the elbows. Draw the forehead down, chin in slightly, and move back toward child's pose. You don't have to go all the way, but you can if you want. And then repeat. Inhale, slight lift of the chin, upper spine moves in. Exhale, pull back. You can even slightly round your spine, elbows soft, head down. And let's continue. Inhale, exhale. Starting to make the exhales nice and long. So linger in the exhale. We're going to add on to this in a moment. Let's do one more. Inhale, look up. Exhale, draw back into your child. And now this time we're going to rise up onto our knees. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, down to child's pose. The hips move back, elbows soften. And then inhale, table, look up a little bit. Exhale back, soften the elbows, child's pose. Inhale, reach the arms up, tailbone is down. Maybe the gaze comes up, exhale, back down. Now, we're going to maybe add on again. Those of you who wish can add a down dog, or you can keep doing what you're doing and skip the down dog, which is a little more challenging on the upper body. So from our table, we would tuck the toes, keep the knees bent, and come into a gentle down dog. And then knees down. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, up to the knees. Nice long exhale. Hips move back, child's pose. Elbows soft. Inhale, come up. Little arch for your table. Tuck the toes, down dog if you're adding it. Otherwise, you're going right back to child's. So you're either going to alternate between table and child's and lifting onto the knees, or you're adding in a downward facing dog. Inhale up. Exhale down. We're going to do just 2 more rounds. I'm going to show with the dog. Feel free to skip. Inhale forward. Tuck your toes. Hips move back. And then the knees lift with the knees staying bent. It keeps a little bit more gentle on your hamstrings, even on your shoulders. Last round. Exhale down. So wherever you are in this cycle, no worries. You can go at your own pace, or you can follow me. Now this is the last round. I'm going to come back through table and then stay in a child's pose for a few breaths, however you're comfortable. And let's take 3 cycles of breath there. After your 3rd breath, take your time. We're going to come all the way onto the belly. So I'm going to take my blanket out of the way right now. And we'll do a few rounds of cobra pose. So for cobra pose, I want the legs to be reaching back energetically. All of my toenails touching the floor so that my legs are neutral. They're not rotating in or out. So have your kneecaps facing the floor. And then come down, forehead on the floor, and bring your hands back by your chest. Now, if your hands are too far forward, your shoulders are going to be forward. If they're too far back, you won't be able to lift up. So you got to find that middle ground. Elbows in, roll your shoulders back. And we want to keep those shoulders back as we lift up into a baby cobra. And then hands press, pull your belly forward like we did in our Sphinx posture. Now we're going to keep keep elbows bent, which is a little more gentle in our back. If we were to go straight, we'd have more compression in our low back. And then release. We're going to do a couple more rounds. Shoulders lift, feet press down, activate your legs. And then draw your tailbone this time towards your heels, which lengthens your lower back. And then lift up. One more time, exhale down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down, and we'll press to tabletop pose. And we're going to make our way up to do some standing work. So if there's a favorite way you like to come up to stand, you're welcome to do it. I'm going to show a brief down dog as a transition. So we're going to lift up and then walk your hands and feet together. So for some of us, it's easier to walk feet to hands. Others, it feels a little better, more gentle to walk hands to feet. And then we have a nice generous bend in the knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Strike your heels down. And try to come up with a long spine. Good. And then we'll be coming to face forward. You probably can stay where you are. All right, coming into mountain pose. So mountain pose, we want the feet to be in a position that you feel very stable, but not too wide. So this would not be a mountain pose, but this would be. This would be too with my big toes touching, but some of us are going to feel wobbly. So feel free to be a narrow hips distance apart. We're going to turn the palms forward. Notice when you turn your palms forward, it opens the arm and shoulder and collarbone area here. So if my arms are more at my side, my arms are going to be slightly more internally rotated. So I'm going to turn them open the chest. Anchor down through my legs, through my tailbone as I keep the belly toning and lifting, and extend through the crown of the head. Now 3 breath cycles here with the arms lifting and lowering, anchoring into peace. So inhale, the arms up. Lifting your rib cage up as you go, and then exhale the arms down without dropping that length in the spine. And again, inhale, arms reach. Exhale, arms down. Now you can stay with that or add a little challenge by lifting your heels. Inhale, arms up. You're coming into a little balance. Exhale, lower down. Let's try 2 more with the heels or without, your choice. Inhale, exhale. One more time, inhale, and exhale. All right, anchor into the ground. Soft bend in the knees. We're not pushing the knees back. We're getting a little micro bend, but firming the thighs, firming the belly. We'll do a couple of half sun salutations. So for half sun salutations, if it's easy for you to touch the ground with a little bend in your knees, you don't need to have blocks. I'm going to show the blocks today. For those of you who feel like the floor is far away, you have to round your back to get there. So if I'm rounding my back to get to the floor, it's going to be much more beneficial if I can use the blocks. Okay. Inhale from your mountain pose, arms reach. This is called Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And then exhale with a little bend in your knees, hands to the blocks or the floor. As I inhale, I'm lengthening. Chest is parallel to the floor. Now I know it's hard not to look up because you're trying to look at the video, but gaze down and lengthen the back of your neck. On your next exhale, fold forward, have that bend in the knees, let the head release. And then inhale, arms reach, stretch up. Exhale, arms at your side. Now we're going to do that again, adding in the heel lift if you want that extra challenge. So inhale, lift your heels up. Exhale, heels down, little bend in the knees, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bend in the knees, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, lift your heels. Exhale, arms at your side, pause. Anchor to peace. One more round. Inhale, arms reach, stretch up. Exhale, little bend in those knees, heels down, hands to blocks or the floor. Inhale, halfway lift, hands can stay on the blocks, shins or thighs. Exhale, fold, draw your belly in as you fold. And then last time, inhale, lift your heels, reach up. Exhale, back down. All right, have a breath or two here. Readjust into your mountain pose. We're going to try tree pose next. But keeping it very mild, very gentle, we're going to keep the heel on the floor, called like a kickstand tree. Those of you who have it in your practice are welcome to progress if you wish, but I'm going to show it with the heel, foot down. Okay? So hands on your hips to start. Tone the abdomen. Anchor the tailbone down. Lift the front of the belly up. So we want to start with a neutral pelvis. So if I'm more in a tip, it's going to be harder for me to balance. So finding neutral. Keep that tone in the abdomen, like everything's drawing in toward the center of your navel. So we're drawing in from the sides, top and bottom, diagonal. We're going to talk about core soon in another class. Okay? So keep that toning, and then we're going to stand on our right leg. I'm going to mirror you. Stand on your right leg and bring your left heel up above your ankle. And anchor down. Press your shin and your heel into each other, and then notice how that maybe fires up some of your hip muscles, your glute muscles when you press the foot and the shin together. Keeping your hip points forward and level, so no twisting or turning here. And then shoulders back. We're going to keep those collarbones open like we did in our mountain pose. Keep your neutral pelvis, and if you're steady, you can bring hands to your heart. Pressing the palms together will help open the chest. And then extend like there's a string on the top of your head. Reach it toward the ceiling, excuse me. Now if you're still steady here, remember those of you who have it in your practice can bring your foot up if you wish. I'm going to keep mine down for today's purposes. The arms can come up overhead if you are steady. Now arm position here, we want to stay with that external rotation, meaning my elbows and palms are going to face towards each other as opposed to away. And that helps broaden my back and helps me lift the rib cage away from the pelvis. So anchor down into the ground with your feet, with your tailbone, and then reach up through your ribs, through your arms, through your head. So we're stretching in two directions here. At the same time, we're firming in, firming the hips, firming the belly. All of that's going to help us stay steady. Last piece here is your gaze, your drishti. So either gazing at the floor, that's going to be most steady, or straight ahead. Those of you who want a little challenge and you're feeling quite steady could look up. Try to be as steady as you can for one more breath. And then we're going to relax the arms, relax your legs, and just give a little bounce out, little shake. And we'll get ready for side two. So now we're going to stand on the right leg. Stand on your left leg, I'm mirroring you. And we're going to bring the right heel up. So first find your mountain pose, get really stable and steady. find your neutral pelvis, zipper up, draw in, and then we're gonna bring that heel up. Okay. Now before we play with arm positions, let's get really anchored into the ground. Root your standing leg down. When I press down into my foot, that tones up my leg and my hip, and then I'm gonna press my heel and my shin in. And that'll help work the other side, so everything's firming up. That'll help my pelvis be stable. So if my pelvis is wobbly, I'm not gonna be able to balance. Neutral pelvis. So my hip points are lifting up, my tailbone's drawing down. If you're steady, hands to heart. Palms pressing to open your chest. Elongate the sides of your neck. Keep drawing in and up, as well as rooting down. So visualize the roots of the tree through your leg, growing and anchoring you into that ground so you're stable, anchoring to that feeling of peace. But now, maybe reaching the arms up. Palms facing in, that little scooping of the pinkies in, and then lift. So don't be afraid to really reach those arms up. We want to keep this inner shoulder area relaxed, but the outer shoulders lift up to give us length between the hips and the ribs here, and the chest and the shoulders. We want lots of space on the side body. Now focus your gaze, your drishti. Floor is going to be steady. Straight ahead is an option, or look up if you are doing really a stable position here. If you're in a stable position, you might challenge yourself. And now release. Relax the arms and just give a little shake. Okay, so we're gonna step the feet apart a little bit wider than the hips for a forward fold. Root down into those legs, anchor down. Inhale the arms up and overhead, and then with a little bend in those knees, we'll fold forward. And for this one, you could have hands on blocks, but if you like, grab opposite elbows, let your chin tuck in, and your head lengthen toward the floor. Crown of the head facing the floor, and then find a gentle sway, side to side. And then switch your arms. We'll take a few more moments with the arms switched. And then release your arms. Have a deep bend in your knees. Tone your belly. Start to draw your tailbone down. And use your legs to press the floor away. So we're not yanking the back muscles. As we come up, the head will come up very last. And we're back in our mountain pose. Okay. All right, have a breath here. And let's try to step feet apart wide. And we'll do a couple of standing poses. Hands to your hips. Turn your whole right leg out from the inner thigh. Kneecap and toes face the same direction. And then we're going to turn the back toes in. Widen that heel, which brings a little bit of this hip forward. Then we can bend this knee. Turn the torso straight ahead. And reach the arms out. This is Warrior Two. Warrior Two, I'm anchoring my back thigh back, anchoring into that back heel, and anchoring into the front heel. Now how deep you bend here is up to you. I want you to feel stable, that's most important. So the wider I go with my legs, I might feel more wobbly. If I'm deepening, this is going to be more demand on this thigh. So ideally we're bringing that thigh a little bit deeper, but if it's too much, you can stay milder here. And then look over your right fingertips. As you inhale, feel a lengthening of your spine. As you exhale, tone your legs and root down into your feet. All right, from here, bring your hands to your hips. Keep your torso facing toward me or toward the side, long side of your mat if you're not facing me. And then we're going to straighten that front leg for a triangle. Now as you straighten that front leg, keep pressing into your big toe mound. Feel your calf muscle tone a little bit. I don't want you locking and jamming that knee down, but I do want the leg straight and strong. So there's a difference between hyperextending and having a straight, strong leg. Now we're going to practice tipping our pelvis like a teapot toward that right leg. And then come back up. As you do that, keep this outer hip firm. Now notice this is not changing. I'm not rounding into the torso here. One more time. Now this time I'm going to bring my hand to my shin. Those of you who want to go a little deeper to a block or lower if you wish, I'm going to show with a block right behind my right shin. You could also just keep your hand on your shin, but don't press down and jam it. Press your shin and hand into each other. Top hand to your rib cage, roll it back, and then hand back to the hip. You can stay here or reach the top arm straight up. If you wish, you could go a little lower, but only if that feels stable. Stable is the most important here. Now bring that top hand back to the hip. Root that whole back leg down. Tone your belly and then come up. That anchoring of the back leg can help us come up safely. Turn your foot forward. And then other side. Turn the toes out. Bend this knee. Coming into your warrior two. Anchor the back thigh back into the back heel. Look over your left finger tops. And just adjust so you feel stable and steady. All right, straightening that front leg, hands to the hips. Practice tipping without bending the waist. So this stays exactly the same. I'm leaning. And this tipping of my pelvis helps me keep this long. So this front hip crease, my left hip crease, goes in. And now this last time, hand can come down to your shin or a block or your ankle, depending on your body. But press the shin and hand into each other if your hand is on your shin, and don't press solely down with your hand. Roll the top rib cage open. Stay here or take that top arm and reach it straight up. Keep tipping your pelvis and anchoring your back thigh back. Feel your back heel on the ground. All right, now to come out, tone that back leg, tone the belly. Reach with this arm or hand to the hip and press down. Come up and bring your feet parallel. Pause here. And then heel, toe, or step your feet back together and shake it out a little bit. Okay, we're keeping this a shorter practice. I've had some requests for shorter practices, so we're going to come right down to the ground now and just do a few finishing postures. So we're going to have our blocks nearby. Well, we'll just need one block really. Keep anything you need for Shavasana nearby, as we're going to be going there soon. Roll down, and then lift your hips and put your block under your hips. You're welcome to stay on setting 1 or lift up to setting 2. I'm going to stay on setting 1 today, but you have that option. So now we're in supported bridge. Tip the tailbone up a little bit and scoot your tailbone forward so you feel lengthened in your lower back. And then a little tuck of your shoulders to feel open in your chest. Palms face up at your side. Now you can stay here in your supported bridge, or bring one knee at a time in towards your chest and extend your legs up into a little inversion time. So So we can flex the feet here, making the legs active, but letting the shoulders stay relaxed and gently tucked under so we're flat open in our collarbones. If you want, you could separate your legs and circle your feet a bit, both directions a few times. And then point, flex, point, flex. All right, we'll come back to stillness for a moment. And then we're going to slowly let those legs come down, maybe one at a time, back to supported bridge. Lift your hips and slide the block out, coming down slowly and gently. And then widen your feet and let your knees drop together to relax your lower back. Breathe into your abdomen. From here, we'll widen the knees again. Arms to the side and windshield wiper your legs side to side. Drop them over to the right, look to the left for a few breaths. Shoulders relaxing, face relaxing. And now over to the other side, drop the knees to the left, look to the right. Couple of breaths. You can always have a block here if you want. And back to the center. Walk your feet in back to hips distance. Draw the knees to the chest and make circles around. Relaxing your lower back, massaging out your SI joint, sacrum area, and then reverse, go the other way. Now take a happy baby if you wish. So I could start with my hands behind my knees, draw the knees wide. Feet face the ceiling. You could also hold your ankles or your feet, depending on what feels accessible and keeps your spine a little more neutral here. You could rock or you could be still. We'll bring those knees back into the chest, good squeeze. And then set the feet down, back on the ground. We're going to set up for Shavasana. So if you wish, grab whatever props. I'm going to just grab a blanket for under my head. If you want to cover up or have support under your knees, if you have those items available, cover up if you are cold. And then stretch your legs out one at a time. Have a little space between your legs. Arms at your side if you're okay with that, palms up. Or hands on your belly if that feels more comfortable for you. Just a little tuck of the shoulders so we feel open. We don't want to be pinchy. Maybe a little wiggle of your legs, a little bounce to make sure our back feels loose before we come to rest. Now, just staying here in your Shavasana, anchoring once again to that feeling of peace. So starting with your heels, imagine the heels anchoring into the ground, getting heavy. And then the backs of your legs, as if roots were growing down through your body, anchoring you, connecting you to the nourishment of the earth. So those roots help bring that earth quality into our bodies. Back of the pelvis anchors, back of our ribs, back of our shoulders. And the arms are heavy, anchoring into the ground. That feeling of peace in the whole body. Whole body relaxed, whole body at peace. Letting go of the meaningless and anchoring to the meaningful. So stay where you are for another moment. Couple more breath cycles. Finish with a little reading by Jeff Foster. Rest in every step. Have patience, slow down. The gap between where I am and where I want to be is full of possibilities. So don't rush through it. Take time. Find the dignity in slowness. Learn to love the gap. Grace it with your presence. It is bursting with life, creativity, and holds unexpected treasures. Have patience, slow down. Life is only now. In presence, there are no gaps. Find rest in every step. So you are welcome to stay longer in Shavasana if you wish. If you are ready to come out, you could take your time, little wiggle of fingers and toes, and roll to your side when you're ready for a breath or two. Taking your time. And when you do decide to come up, please take your time, press into your hands, bring your head up last. And we'll find a comfortable seat. If you're still in Shavasana, stay as long as you wish. If you're joining me seated, we'll end here by bringing the hands together. Big inhale, and as you exhale, bow your head to your heart. Thank you so much for joining me for yoga. Namaste.